Good morning and happy Saturday. My name's Michelle. I'm with Olive Two Ewe Studios. I'm here typically about every Saturday morning at 9:30 in the morning Eastern Time. We get together with some friends, both live and recorded. So welcome to you also. If you happen to be watching after the fact, there's plenty to keep you interested as well. So if you haven't already done so, I'd like to invite you to go ahead and subscribe to the channel and give us a thumbs up during the podcast, if you will. It really does help to support us. So good morning. I see some of our Yarn to Use popping in this morning. I see Tracy and Valera and Deb and Lydia, Lori Ann, all the people, Deborah showing up, Tracy, all kinds of people. So welcome, and good morning. Katrins here and others. Diane, I think popping in from Canada. So it is definitely a cool morning here in Maine. I know some of you have been really interested to sort of see our progression as we move from Florida to Maine in April. And I know some of y'all are being sneaky. Y'all are like, she likes it right now. What's it going to be like in a couple months? So just keep hanging in there. I've got other friends that are watching too. We'll see how we like it. But so far, it's beautiful. We're loving the cooler weather, loving being able to wear sweaters, and have had so much fun during fall going out and seeing all the leaves and all the pumpkins and all the fun fall stuff. Not to mention all the hand knits. We'll get to this in just a minute. I happen to have a guest in the studio today. I was not able to talk her into being on camera with me, but my best friend since I was 4 years old is Jennifer. And we grew up together, and then we lost touch for about 20 years, I think, honestly. And then we got reconnected, oddly enough, through an Olive Two Ewe Studios post, if you can imagine that. Turns out she's into yarn too. She's a big crocheter, does a lot of prayer shawls and a lot of other projects. And she actually, God love her, took the time and the effort and flew all the way to Maine to see me. We had just reconnected as Jim and I were packing up our house in Florida, and she lives in Florida. So how weird is that? Like, of all the times, as Mary Nielsen says, y'all know Mary Nielsen, as she said about it, she said, so you had to move to Maine to get back in touch with your childhood friend. Yeah, apparently so. I think she's liking it too, though. We've taken a lot of pictures out doing fall things. We went and fed the goats the other day. Y'all know how I like the goats, and did all kinds of stuff. So we're planning to do some crafty things up here in the studio in the next day or two. So you know that feeling when you're typing and you can type really well when you're by yourself, and you know what happens when people are watching you and you mess up? Yeah, we're going to see how this podcast goes because it's not often I'm watched. So we'll see what happens. We can all throw Jennifer under the bus if I don't do well, as my husband said the other day, because I kind of threw her under the bus in a conversation with him. And he said something about, you might want to look when Michelle's around. There might be a bus coming. So that's our big joke right now. So we're having a good time. Anyway. All right, we've got fun things to get to. Now, I'm going to tell you, I started to work on whips this week, and it just wasn't happening because Jennifer and I are hanging out and having a really good time, but we will have an epic whip segment coming up in the next couple of weeks to make up for it, because y'all are doing some beautiful things. And I happen to notice Karen Sobel posted a beautiful picture of a project that she just finished in Pitch in the Beast. And thanks to Karen, she did a little tag for us, which I really appreciated. And she said, typically black yarn bleeds, and it didn't bleed. So yay for Sherry and Terry and their technological skill. So that's really good. I see y'all talking about snow. There were actually snow flurries in the forecast about a week ago for yesterday and this coming Monday. But I looked this morning, and alas, no snow flurries are in the forecast right now. So we're off the hook for the moment. I'm just saying. All right, we've got a brand new colorway this week that I am smitten with. It's called Homecoming Queen. Y'all know I like a pink. How beautiful is that yarn? And it happens to kind of coordinate with what I'm wearing today. I'm just saying that was by accident. This is Homecoming Queen. It's one of these beautiful tonal colorways. So you see all the variations in shades in that. Homecoming Queen. It's beautiful and pink. I'm not going to unfurl it because y'all know I don't do the best job rehanking these once they're open, but you can see all the tonality in it right there. It is gorgeous, Lorianne. I'm glad you think so too. I do too. Sherry and Terry just continue to hit it out of the park. So Monica has been kind of on on her own this week since I've been otherwise engaged. And she took some time. Well, in addition to throwing some features up that I thought were gorgeous, I'm like, when the cat's away, the mouse will play. But she took the liberty, and I'm really glad that she did, of coming up with some beautiful coordinating colors to go with Homecoming Queen. Those are in your newsletter this morning. So if you love this colorway, but maybe you're not looking to do something just in a solid and you want something with a colorway to coordinate with it, Monica's put together some great options for you in the newsletter. They're all in a collection, so you don't have to hunt all over the website. We like to make it as easy as possible. So I think the collection is called Friends of Homecoming Queen. I don't know about you, but when I hear Friends of Homecoming Queen, I'm like, so is there like the creepy guy in one corner and the cool jock in the other corner? I don't know. Maybe that's just me and all of our talk of high school lately. But anyway, that's Homecoming Queen and is brand new this week. Now, incidentally, we're going to talk about the Sankaku knit along coming up. And we've got gorgeous kits still in the shop for that. But if you love this colorway and you want to go along on the ride with the knit along with us, you could probably look at some of the Friends of Homecoming Queen collection and find something gorgeous to go with this if you're thinking a pink Sankaku might be in your future. I'm just saying. All right, let's talk about the Sankaku really quick because we talked about it a little bit last week. No, we didn't talk about it next week. We talked about it last week. Michelle, get your tenses right. And I didn't have the dates for you yet. I now have the dates. So I actually extended it out a little bit further because more of you are purchasing kits. And I want to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to have their kit in hand for us to start. The Sankaku knit along is going to actually begin on November 8th. And if memory serves, which you can never be sure about with me, I think it ends on December 6th. It's about a month-long knit along. Now, like all of our knit alongs, the really good news is you don't have to have a finished object in order to be prize eligible. The only thing you need to do is use Olive Two Ewe yarn. That makes you prize eligible. We're not going to look and make sure you've hit milestones. We're not going to make sure you have a finished object. And you know, I like to give away prizes, which will probably be another $50 gift card, unless somebody can talk me into more. So we'll see how that goes. But there will be a prize. Now, we had kits last week, and I told you on the podcast that they were going super fast. And some of y'all found out I don't lie about that, because I had at least one person message and say, you know what? I had a kit in my cart and it got like yanked out. Yep, because somebody checked out faster than her. Our carts are not saved immediately. But the good news is Monica has restocked the Sankaku kits, not only with some new and fresh colorway combinations, but also with some colorway combinations that had previously sold out. So if you had your eye on a kit that you loved, look now, you might be able to get it. And I know some of you have purchased multiple kits because it's great Christmas and holiday knitting. Like, why not? This is one of those projects that I've talked about multiple times that has a lot of bang for its buck. Now, I'm going to show you my pattern. It's a little bedraggled because it went to Scotland with me and I didn't print it in color. So I apologize for that. But the link is down below in your show notes this morning so you can see the Sankaku pattern on Ravelry. That's where you're going to need to purchase your pattern. The patterns are not included in the kits, and we're giving you a pretty steep discount on those kits as well. But there you can see the Sankaku. It's beautiful. It's sort of a hybrid between a shawl and a KAL. And the thing that I love about it is, while I'm not in Florida anymore, there are places that you just need something nice and light. You don't want to get hot. This you can throw on much like a shawl, but because it's connected at some point in the pattern, you do connect it in the round. You can see it there. It's not going to fall off your shoulders. That is one of my issues with some of the shawls that I have. And I do enjoy shawls, but I don't like the fact that when wearing them, they can slide off your shoulders. I feel like I'm constantly like fighting with it. Where is it? Did I lose it? How can I get it back on? And how do I style it? This pattern, you end up with a product that is easily styled. You can wear it with the opening in the front, on the side, in the back, wherever you want it. And I believe that the designer shows you multiple ways. You can also make this top portion a little tighter or a little looser if you really like a lot of drape, or maybe you want it a little tighter. She also in the pattern gives you some tips and tricks for how to customize it in that way. So it's another one of those patterns that is very easily customized, and it would make a gorgeous gift. The other thing that we've discussed about it, and you don't see it super well on here, because I only have black and white photos, but you can see it better in the newsletter. And down below, if you click one of those pattern links, I'm sorry, one of the, well, you can see it in the pattern link, but also in one of the kits, is that it's mosaic knitting. And so you get the look of color work without the struggle of sort of managing a few different yarns. You're only ever knitting with one colorway on each row, and your yarn doesn't have to be floated. You know, we talk about floats and float management. There's no float management in this project. So if you've ever wanted to kind of test the waters for color work or mosaic knitting, this is a great pattern to start with because it's so easy and so simple in that way. Now, what we've done, Mary Nielsen and I have teamed up yet again. I know you're surprised. And we have already recorded 3 videos that we're going to be posting at milestone times along the Knit Along Way. Again, not to give you a tutorial, but definitely some tips and tricks, a little bit of commentary to help you along the way with some insight. And I'll post the first one right after, or right around the kickoff day of November 8th. I'll make sure and get that posted because Mary in that first video has a genius method for doing a cast on that you don't have to like pull out a bunch of yarn and still be uncertain whether you have enough yarn to cast on or if you're going to have too much waste. This has, let me look at the pattern again, quite the formidable cast on number. Let's see here. So you're going to cast on 241 stitches. That's not a small number of stitches, y'all. So Mary gives us a really good tip for how to do that and manage your yarn well. She also recommends in that, and I'll tell you now, I don't know why I never did this before, but I'm starting to now, putting stitch markers when you have a lot of cast on every 25 or 50 stitches. So if you get interrupted and lose your count, you don't have to go back and start all over again. My eyes are not as good as they used to be. And so counting those tiny stitches on a cable can be a bit daunting. So those stitch markers really help. But that is just one of the tips that we have for you in the week 1 cast on video. So the first video is going to be all about casting on and that sort of thing. And then we're also going to do the second video is all about mosaic knitting and how to manage that. And then the third video is about that I-cord bind off and sort of finishing up the project. Lydia says that she calls them chanchos. I love it. That makes perfect sense, right? It's a hybrid between a shawl and a poncho. So I like it a lot. So the Sankaku knit along is coming up. Grab your kits. If you're loving Homecoming Queen and you think that'd make a good kit, and it would, then Monica's got some coordinating colorways for you in the newsletter this week. Now I'm going to tell you about this colorway as well. And you know, I don't tell no lies. This is going to go really, really quickly. And so if you have your heart on this, I'd recommend getting it this morning. Again, 2 devices is always good when you're watching the podcast for exactly that reason. So Homecoming Queen is going to come up really, really quickly. Okay. Can we talk about what I'm wearing? Does anybody want to know what I'm wearing? Does anybody know what I'm wearing? Does anybody care what I'm wearing? I care what I'm wearing. This is my Korean poncho, and I finally finished it. So I started this, gosh, last year, I want to say maybe in August, September, early September, August, September, somewhere around there. I loved the name. Korean is a Scottish term for sort of hunkering down and getting cozy. I have a whole book about Koreaning in, and I loved the name of it, and I loved the shape of it. And I loved that Vanessa at Necessities in Orlando had done one using scraps from her stash. And I loved the look of that. So that's what I went for. I used a lot of scraps from my stash for it. And then I held it double with Snow White in our Bronte yarn, and which is, you know, Surrey alpaca and silk. You can't get much softer than that. So I'm going to stand up and show it to you so you can see sort of the whole thing. And I do love it. Now I'm wearing it with a turtleneck this morning because it's a great way to wear it. And because it's chilly. I think it was like 36 degrees outside this morning. And I'm really cozy in it now. So let me stand up and kind of give you the full effect. It's been blocked now. So that is the Korean poncho. And I'm going to tell you, there are definitely some design elements on this. I may not have it exactly straight. There are definitely a few design elements and a few things I didn't do perfectly on it. But you know what? It's a poncho and I'm happy with it. And I definitely used some different colors of yarn. And then, of course, you kind of have that heathered look because I held it double with the Snow White and Bronte. Let me kind of lift this up so you can see that feature down at the bottom. It is so incredibly cozy and I love it so much. Jennifer said that when she leaves, it might not be here anymore. So we'll see what happens. She's over there nodding her head. She really liked it. I walked down this morning with it on and she was like, oh my gosh. So I'm really, really happy with it. I'm not usually a poncho person, but this one really caught my eye for all of the reasons that I mentioned. And yeah, I kind of like it. I think it's quite nice. Deb says it's gorgeous. It looks so soft. Let me tell you, it is really soft because anytime you hold something double with Bronte, you're going to get that heathered look, that beautiful softness, and it is super, super soft. It blocked out really nicely. I will tell you, I made it longer than the pattern called for, like so many did. I actually just kept doing repeats around and around and around because I didn't want one to hit me like at the whitest place on my body. That would not be attractive. Nobody needs to see that. So, and I want to cover all my bits and bobs. So I made it a bit longer. And then I blocked it very aggressively. I was very aggressive with the Corian. I blocked it aggressively. It dried up really nicely. And yeah, I was really, really happy with it. So I finally finished it. So many of you were like, are you ever going to get back to that? You know, Jennifer and I were talking the other day. There are times in your life that things happen and you can lose your knitting or your crocheting or your stitching of any sort mojo. I think we've all had that happen. And it's a bit disheartening when it happens. And there were particular reasons during this that I lost my knitting mojo. But you know what? Once I finished my last Beautifully Basic Tee, I was like on a roll. I actually picked this up. I finished this. And then I picked up, some of you may remember, my number 2 Gossamer Twist in Swan White. I picked it up again and I had to order a little bit more yarn. And so I'm going to get it finished as well because I love that Gossamer Twist pattern. And I've actually started a new pattern. So I am knitting all the things right now. I think the moral of that story is when you feel your knitting mojo starting to slide or your crochet mojo or your stitching mojo starting to slide, maybe it's best to take the hint and pivot your attention for a while to something a little different, like as a palette cleanser, as my good friend Maria Klein says, and then come back to it. And you can really find that you have been renewed. Absolutely, Tish. Renew, refresh, restart. Exactly. And then some of those old whips might speak to you again, or you might find new energy to complete them. And that's definitely what happened with me. And I'm so grateful that it did. I'm glad that I didn't just like put it at the bottom of a pile and forget about it completely, because that wouldn't have served anybody very well. So that's my Corian poncho. So let's talk about what I started. I have a new project on the needles. You're not going to be super surprised to find out it's another tee. And this one I'm doing in buttered toffee, because when I saw this colorway from Sherry and Terry, again, I was smitten and I was like, I have to have a garment in that. So I've got it cast on and I'm doing my increases, rocking and rolling on those. And I'm going to get started on another tee. And I'm going to do, it's another long sleeve sort of lightweight sweater. So that's what I'm doing with my buttered toffee. But very soon, I'll be casting on my Sankaku. Now, I cast on the Sankaku. Some of you who went to Scotland with us know that Mary was working on hers in Scotland, and everybody would say, so what are you doing? What are you working on? And she'd say, it's a secret project. Stay tuned. Well, that's what it was. So hers is all knit up. You're going to see her finished Sankaku in the very first video for the knit along. And I cast mine on, but yeah, I learned pretty quickly it doesn't behoove me to cast on a pattern like that on a coach writing with people I want to chat to. So I went ahead and frogged it all back, and I'm going to start it again and cast on again because I want to be knitting it during the knit along with all of you. So I'm going to be not so monogamous for this next month or two, because I've got a couple of projects on the needles that I'm going to want to get completed. So that's what's going on with my knitting. I have had so much fun watching you all. I know some of you are involved right now in a Stephen West, I think a mystery knit along maybe, or a knit along at least. And I will tell you that Stephen West, Fiberside Chats tomorrow, that's his. Did you know that? Did you know that he's going to be doing the Fiberside Chat tomorrow? The link is in the newsletter this morning. I might have even put it in the show notes. I'll try to make sure that I add it to the show notes, but you want to get registered for the Fiberside Chats. Those are really a lot of fun. It's interesting to sort of meet the people behind the designs and then learn a little bit, get a little insight into their design sort of process and history and inspiration. And we so appreciate your support. When you click the link to sign up for Fiberside Chats, it's going to ask you to choose from a drop down of who your local yarn shop is. And they know that the yarn I use show up. And I am so grateful for that because we get some financial support from that when you sign up and mention Olive Two Ewe Studios. So the link is in your newsletter this morning. If it's not in the show notes now, I'll make sure that it is later. You can click that. You can sign up, I want to say up to maybe an hour or two before it, but just take care of it today and get ready for it tomorrow. Now, it will be recorded and the link for the recording will be sent out to you and you have, I believe, a week to view it. So if it's not coming to you at a convenient time, say you've got kids' sports or you just want to enjoy your family on a Sunday afternoon, you can do that and then watch it later at your convenience. I love that they make it so easy to do that with the Fiberside Chats. It's a lot of fun. Now, speaking of knitting and patterns and all of that, one of the other things that we've done for you this week, because it is the end of Socktober, is we've got a couple really neat patterns that are perfect for gift giving, quick knits and crochets. So 2 sock patterns that we've put in the newsletter this week. The first is, and I have to look to remember them, the perfect pair of crochet socks. So if you're a crocheter, you have an option. I was a crocheter first, so we never, ever, ever want to ignore crocheters. So the perfect pair of crochet socks is the very first pattern that we're suggesting. And the second is laid edges, which is another sock pattern that some of you may have missed, but had been spoken about in some other venues at some times. So take a look at those. It's a good time, the end of Socktober, to go ahead and get some socks on the needles and get ready for the holiday knitting. So lots of options out there. I was just looking really quickly. How many of us here in the chat went to Scotland together? How many of you still have bags to unpack? I have a bag down here that I'm still looking at that is not fully unpacked yet. But one of the things I did pull out of my bag was this book, The Sock Project by Summer Lee. So many of you know this book and have referenced it and have been using it. I picked this up at For the Love of Yarn in Glasgow, Scotland, and all kinds of sock stuff. So I've told you I'm intent on getting back into socks. I have knit some socks at different times, but I'm going to get started on some socks. But we've suggested 2 patterns for you this week in your newsletter so you too can get some socks on the needles and get ready to go. Julie said she hasn't finished unpacking either, I think. She said me. Is that how I asked that question? Is there anybody else who hasn't finished unpacking? And she said me, or did I say, is anybody fully unpacked? I can't remember. I don't know which way it is. Deb says me too. Okay. I don't feel like the odd man out then. Thank you for bringing me into the fold and making me feel normal. It's so rare that I feel normal. So I appreciate that. That's a very good thing. All right. Speaking of socks, so you might remember the last couple of weeks, we did talk quite a bit about our trip to Scotland and all the fun things that we got to do. And I also showed you some items that were gifted to me while we were in Scotland. And I failed to mention, and I still don't have them to show you, and I'll tell you why. Mary Nielsen has cranked me so many pairs of socks along the way because y'all know I've said it before and I'll just say it again. I'm not ashamed. I am who I am. I've got thick legs, I've got thick ankles, and I've got wide feet. I'm just a big girl. And when we first went to Scotland, I was really all boo-hoo, woe is me, because I was struggling to find really good socks that would fit in my boots well. And Mary Nielsen really came through for me then and created several pairs of socks for me that were worked so perfectly. They fit wonderfully. They fit my legs and my ankles perfectly. And honestly, she saved me because I would have been in ill-fitting socks that first trip to Scotland, and that's not good. You have to take care of your feet. Well, and she has knit me multiple pairs since. I know y'all are saying, you have, Matilda, You've got your circular sock machine. Why are you not cranking your own socks? And I'm just going to tell you, because I moved to Maine and I've still got things to do to get sorted here. I will get there. I do have plans to be cranking myself some socks, but Mary knows me and knows that I haven't had a chance yet. And she surprised me on the coach the first day we were there with 2 pairs of beautiful cranked socks that I knew, and I was not wrong, would fit my legs and my feet perfectly. And they did. And the reason that I don't have them to show you, I bet you can guess. They're in dirty clothes. I wear them a lot. So I went down this morning and I was looking in my closet for them. I was like, oh, right, those need to be washed. So I don't want to show them my dirty socks. So I promise you, I will soon show you the 2 pairs of socks that Mary Nielsen most recently cranked for me. And I'm definitely going to get back to Matilda. She's over here giving me the side eye in the corner. I think she's feeling a little neglected. I have cranked some things on her since we moved to Maine, but I really have to sit down and spend some time with her and get her oiled back up again and get cranking again. And she'll be fine. Once I pay her a little attention, she'll be fine. She'll get over it. She won't hold it against me anymore. So I'm very, very excited about getting back to Matilda for that purpose. I know some of you have picked up circular sock machines in the meantime. Some of you are interested in circular sock machines. And I'm still going to tell you, even though I haven't used mine a lot, I really, really believe in them. I think they're great tools to have. And there's so many fun things you can do with them, not just socks. So as Matilda and I get reacquainted, I'll be sharing some videos and some pictures and things like that. So it takes time. Speaking of that, it's funny. I read an article this morning, and I'll just share just the highlights with you. It was talking about something called aspirational clutter. Have you ever heard that term? Aspirational clutter. And it's about the things that we collect because it represents, or the things that we collect represent the person we want to become, or the things that we want to do. And it was talking a lot about how, that is some of the most difficult clutter to get rid of because it's very emotionally tied into who we are. I want to be a quilter. I want to be a cranker. And it was talking about how it can sometimes be helpful to move some of those things along. But I'm going to tell you something. I diverge from that thinking just a little bit. I think it's a good thing. But I know for me, times in my life, y'all know I sew, I knit, I have crocheted in the past. I've got a sock crank machine. I've got a loom. And I have sort of tested all the crafts. And what's interesting is I may purchase something and have the tools and not get like right on it immediately. But there have been several of those things that I have found a number of years later, I find or go back to, and it's just the right time. It's the season for it. One of those has been machine embroidery with my sewing. There have been times that I've just been like hyper focused on doing sewing and machine embroidery, and then I leave it for several months, but then I get back to it and I really enjoy it. So aspirational clutter, I think it's something to be mindful of. It's something to sort of examine your clutter, your craft room, your habits, that kind of thing. And it doesn't just apply, oh, by the way, to craft items. It applies to all the exercise equipment we buy because we think we're going to be the person who gets on a treadmill every day, or we think we're going to be the person who rides the exercise bike or does the rowing machine every day. And then it sits around for years because we want to be that person, but it turns out we're not. So I don't want to pick on the craft rooms too much. It can be all kinds of things, or even cooking equipment and that sort of thing. But I'm here to tell you it's worth an examine, but I think there is a season for everything. And I know for me, I've gotten rid of things before moving from Florida to Maine because I was like, oh, no, I've had that for so long. I'm never going to use it. Yeah, I've already replaced some things in Maine that I should have brought from Florida. So you have to be careful about that as well. So just a quick little thought about aspirational clutter. So I thought it was an interesting article to read. I'm always interested to read about those sorts of things. Speaking of gifts, another really special gift showed up in the mail for both Jim and I this week, and we were really touched. We both got teary eyes. Valera sent us this beautiful item in remembrance of our little Cooper. Some of you, if you've been watching for a while, know that we moved to Maine with our 2 pups, Sadie and Cooper, that were rescues that we've had over 10 years. And Cooper, we had to put him down a few weeks ago, and it was very sad for us. We really didn't see it coming until all of a sudden it was in front of us and obvious, and we were very sad. Valera also sadly recently lost a beloved pet, her kitty cat. And I think she may have found what she sent us through her experience. And she knows that our fur babies are family to us. So she had these stones. She had one made for Jim and one made for me. These stones made these little remembrance stones, and they're just so beautiful. And they've already been placed in a place of honor in our home. I'm in the process of ordering a framed set that I can put his little, his actual paw print in, and his collar and his picture, so that we'll have that. And Sadie is getting along okay as the only dog. She's becoming quite the little princess. And we've learned things about her personality that were sort of eclipsed by Cooper's needs. So she's coming into her own. But Valera, thank you so much for these. They really meant the world to us. And you made both Jim and I cry, but tears of remembrance and tears of gratefulness and tears of thankfulness to you. So thank you so, so much for that. We really, really appreciate it. So I'm always very humbled when people send us gifts, and you guys do. You've always taken such good care of us. And in the beginning, it was really difficult for me because I don't accept gifts well. I was the 6-year-old who said, no, mommy, I don't want a birthday party because I don't want people to feel like they have to buy me a gift. Yes, I was that 6-year-old. I was also the 6-year-old who came in from playing outside. Dirty, dirty, wash my hands. So yeah, I'm a little bit of a diva at times, but you guys are so kind. And I'm always so humbled by your thoughtfulness and your kindness towards me. And I'm getting all teary, and I can't do that. I'm becoming emotional in my older age. I'm just saying. So thank you so, so much. And speaking of gifts, our gift shop has also been updated with some new beautiful things. I'm going to just mention to you really quickly, if you didn't go to Scotland with us, but you've caught sight of that really cool Highland Coo pom-pom maker that Ann Michael of Twin Mommy Creations made specifically for our travelers, there's at least one of those in the gift shop right now, and you can snag it. So be sure to check the gift shop listing in the newsletter and on the website, because that is always rotating things, and there's always new and wonderful finds in the gift shop. So it's also a great time of year to do that if you've got crafting friends or friends who have particular interests, because you never know what really kind of unique item you might find in that. So this week, don't forget, grab your Sankaku kit so we can get cast on for that and get ready to rock and roll. Homecoming queen, you don't want to leave her in the corner by herself. Bring her home, put her in your stash, or get her on the needles for something beautiful, because you deserve it. As Jennifer and I have been saying to each other since she's been here and we've been out shopping, treat yourself. Treat yourself. Treat yourself. I've got cinnamon rolls cooking downstairs. We're going to have a cinnamon roll kind of breakfast in a little bit. Thank you so much for being here with me this morning. I always appreciate it, whether you're watching live or you're watching later. I'm always so grateful for you kind of brewing up a cup of something warm and hanging out with me for a little chat. I didn't go live on the Yarn and Use this week about Homecoming Queen. I'll be back live on Thursday next week with what's new. This week, I was just having fun with Jennifer. So thanks for the grace you show me. I'm Michelle with Olive Two Ewe Studios. Thank you so much for being here. If you haven't already done so, please do go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out a lot. And please give me a thumbs up. That helps as well. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the Yarn and Use. Take care. Bye-bye.